I could remember that as at that time when we proposed that 200 naira minimum wage, if you could recall, that even inflation has not gotten to where it is today. If you also recall, as when we were doing that proposal, exchange rate, the official exchange rate was somewhere around 450 naira to a dollar. You could also recall as well that the parallel market rate as at then was somewhere around 700 naira to a dollar. But today, all this has been shattered. What that means is that we will go back to the drawing board because Nigerian workers are battered as we speak. Because Nigerian workers, the pay today literally is nothing. So the Nigerian workers, as we speak now, are facing through excruciating period. In fact, we've had a lot of minimum wage negotiations over the years, but this one will stand out. It will stand out because we have never seen a time like this in Nigeria. So this is a period where people are passing through pain. People are passing, in fact, the purchasing power of an average Nigerian workers, and indeed the entire Nigerian masses, has been eroded. So we are going to put on our thinking cap and we are going to press to get the best for the working people of Nigeria.
Oh, that's the truth because we have timeline. Nobody's going to sleep on this job because everything we're going to do we must finish by before 1st of April. So there's no there's no delay because it's something that is backed by the law and we must obey the law of the land. And so that's what they are simply saying, that we have just 2 months to do this work. And so that's what it is. And of course we're hopeful that we are going to speed up the process because all of us knows what the issues are. Nobody's new in this. We've been talking about since last year. So I'm sure that we're going to deliver based on speed and the expectation of Nigerians.
Very unprecedented and is a very welcome development by the subnationals. We're here as government, to discuss issues that affect labor. Labor, both public sector and private sector, is very critical to the economy. And this shows the willingness of this government, to the welfare of the citizenry of Nigeria.
Oftentimes the challenge is at the state level. So what challenges do you as state governors, you're representing 36 state governors, what challenges do you anticipate from this?
We don't want to preempt the outcome of this meeting, but you need to understand that the subnationals also have challenges and that the federal government in its own wisdom have brought the subnationals into perspective, and this discussion will be done together with the subnationals. So I'm not sure we're going to foresee any challenge.
Okay, looking at economic realities and also provisions made by the federal government in the 2024 budget, do you think it's realistic? Because funding is a major problem. How do we raise these monies to also ensure that the state government are at par with the federal government? Because not all states have equal resources.
Yes, we are looking for alternative ways of funding. And we're sure that with the backward integration in the economy, a lot of us will be able to stand tall in this challenge.
All right, I wish you the best.
Thank you.
Thank you, Excellencies.
Chairman, sir. Yeah, Chairman.
How are you?
First of all, let me say that the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has tremendous love and respect for the Nigerian worker. And that is why he approved generously for the inauguration of the Tripartite committee, and charged them to move very fast. He has provided logistics. Want us to move forward. We don't have any figure in mind. We want a very, very realistic approach based on certain conventions, based on the reality of the Nigerian economy, based also on what you have in our neighboring countries throughout Africa. Nigerian welcome. Everyone believes deserves a rise in his pay package. Honestly, we want a situation while Nigerian workers are sufficiently motivated to work for the common good, for the Nigerian people. Once they are sufficiently motivated, they will do very well because they're gifted, because they're productive, because they're creative, they're full of initiative. A human resource base, I want to believe and strongly too that is second to none in Africa. That is why we're here today, to ensure that all our actions are in line and in conformity with the law and the expectations and aspirations of the Nigerian.
I think what is going to happen is commitment for the government and the negotiators. If the workers today are expectant, they want a robust minimum wage, I believe there won't be any rigidity coming from the angle of the government. So I'm in line with what my TUC president said. No time has been given, and let's wait.
The implementation date is supposed to be April.
So can be 4 months, can be 3 months, can be 5 months.
Implementation is supposed to be April.
Oh, well, let's say
Sometimes these kind of implementations are usually only binding on government workers. We know the private sector is involved, but it's kind of really difficult to enforce it in the private sector for that minimum wage to be implemented. How would you go about it differently this time around?
No, I think it's a tripartite committee, which means that the private sector, the government, and labor should have a united position in order to improve the life of the average Nigerian. And that's exactly what we are looking forward to. So on this call, we are going to have the same mandate and we are going to enforce the same standard. So the minimum wage is going to be binding on all the parties that are involved. And by the way, I will need to assure you that even the private sector have always been ahead in terms of having a much, much higher minimum wage. So it is for us to support a process that allows some measure of improvement in what we have paid to those who work to make this country great.
Okay, so what are we expecting? What's the benchmark in terms of negotiation?
No, it's not good to declare the result before the match starts. I think it's going to be a collective process. We are going to consider quite a number of things. Fairness in the wages. We are going to look at capacity to pay and sustainability. I think it's very important. So all those issues cannot be preempted as we speak, but we hope that whatever comes out will be to the best interest of Nigerians.
All right, so I wish you the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
First of all, just go straight to it. Are there challenges that you expect from this task that has just been given to others?
Ordinarily, an assignment like this, an exercise like this, you may expect some challenges. But with the array of personalities that were assembled today, all the national expertise, all the knowledge required to do the exercise had been assembled today by Mr. President under the Tripartite Committee. So when I look at the membership of the committee, I don't think there will be any serious challenge that will retard any progress to be made in this exercise.
The Vice President did say that he wants your report time. How soon do we expect to see your report ready for submission?
Definitely, it's going to be very soon. But at the same time, like we promised the Vice President, that we are going to have a wide spectrum of consultations with recommendations to be made that at the end of it will be acceptable, fair, implementable, and sustainable. I don't want to give you a specific date, but like the Vice President directed, that it's going to be soon.
So no timeline, because the date for implementation is supposed to be April.
Yeah, that's what the Act says. It's supposed to be April. So we'll try to see if we can work toward that date. But it's not sacrosanct. Certainly, in order to rush and submit some haphazard recommendations that are not going to be implementable, why don't you give the required time to be able to come clean whatever you recommend that is going to be implementable? And you've heard the response of the executive governors. I'm glad to also add that the representatives of the governors, as you see them, they are all welfare governors. All the 6 of them, if you clearly see their trends and their approach to development in their states, they are all welfare governors. And of course, you know, we have also a welfare president in President Bola Tinubu. So all this put together, we should be able to have a recommendation sooner than later that is acceptable to all. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, I thank God for this initiative that government is taking at this particular place, but I'm still being worried. We may remember some time long ago, there was an Idoji award. And that was the first time the salary of the workers were increased. And immediately after the increasement, the commodity in the market run up to meet. So while we are talking about minimum wage, I think the government on their own side has to think on how to bring down the price of commodities in the market. If a worker is paying 1 million naira as a minimum wage and the bag of rice is 900,000, the 1 million naira still has no meaning. So what I think, while we are thinking of minimum wage to hike the price, the salary of the workers, the government on their own side has to think how that money will have value. Having value is, if a bag of rice that was 8,000 yesterday is now 50,000, and you increase the salary of the workers and the price of rice will be 200 or 200,000, the salary you increase has no value. So I think the government is going down in the right direction. Also, while we increase the salary of the workers, let the government work on the price of commodities to come down. If the dollar will step down now, the price of commodity will step down. My mind is going that way.